Mary will show you to your room, Kyle says stiffly. He hesitates, eyes lingering on Penny before looking away. I have packed business to attend to. A plump, gray-haired woman steps forward with a gentle smile. This way. Miss Emily follows Mary down plush-carpeted hallways adorned with paintings of forest landscapes and past alpha leaders. Penny stirs against her shoulder, taking in the new surroundings. With wide eyes, here's the nursery, Mary says, opening a door to reveal an extremely elegant room decorated in soft greens and golds. Master Kyle had it prepared years ago, though it's never been used until now. Years ago, before Penny was even born. The revelation sits uncomfortably with Emily and your quarters, Mary continues, showing Emily an adjoining room tastefully appointed with a full-sized bed, dresser, and sitting area. You'll have privacy, but be close enough to hear the little one. Emily sets Penny down on the bed, surrounding her with pillows. Mary, I'd like to see Lucy's room. Mary's eyebrows rise slightly, but she nods. Of course, I thought you might want to gather some of her things, items with her scent for the baby. Exactly, Emily says, relieved at the woman's understanding. Penny should have something of her mother's. Mary leads her down another hallway to a set of double doors. This was the Luna's private suite. The room is frozen in time, a book still open on the nightstand, perfume bottles arranged on the vanity, a silk robe draped over a chaise lounge. Lucy's scent lingers, fading but present, jasmine and vanilla with an undertone of something wild. Emily moves through the space quietly, as if afraid to disturb the memories. This wasn't the master bedroom, she observes, noting the absence of masculine touches. Mary busies herself opening a drawer, avoiding Emily's eyes. No. The alpha suite is in the west wing. I see. Emily picks up a cashmere throw from the foot of the bed, knowing Penny will find comfort in her mother's scent. They didn't share a room, Mary sighs, her professional reserve cracking slightly. Not for the past 5 years or so. It wasn't always that way, but she shrugs. Things changed. They were fighting, Emily asks, trying to understand. That's the strange thing. Mary folds a silky scarf, adding it to the small pile of items for Penny. They didn't fight, they just drifted apart, became like strangers living under the same roof. Cold, distant, Emily frowned. But they were mated. The bond doesn't allow for that kind of separation. Wolves mated for life, their spirits entwined so deeply that physical distance caused actual pain. Emily had always envied that certainty, that unbreakable connection she would never experience. Mary nods knowingly. That's what made it so hard on them both, neither doing well with it, especially the Luna looking like she was wasting away from inside. She lowers her voice. Master Kyle started taking more trips, staying away for weeks sometimes, and the Luna, yes, she became reckless. When those rogues were spotted on our borders, the security team advised waiting for reinforcements, but she insisted on leading the patrol herself. Mary shakes her head. Sadly, it wasn't like her. Not until these last few years. The sound of a throat clearing makes them both jump. Kyle stands in the doorway, his expression unreadable, but his scent sharp with displeasure. Mary, I believe the kitchen needs your attention, he says, his tone leaving no room for argument. Of course. Alpha. Mary hurries past him with an apologetic glance at Emily. Kyle's gaze sweeps over the room, pain flashing briefly across his features before his mask of indifference returns. Find what you need. Emily clutches the cashmere throw. Yes, for Penny. He nods once, then turns to leave. Dinner's at 7. Alone in Lucy's room, she gathers the items for Penny and walks to the window, gazing out at the forest beyond. Something isn't adding up. A mated pair growing cold and distant. Lucy's recklessness, her desperate final wish to keep Penny away from Kyle. What were you hiding, Lucy? She whispers to the empty room. What really happened between you two? Chapter 5. Emily pauses, the length of the nursery bouncing page gently with each step. The grandfather clock in the hallway chimes 3 times, 3 in the morning, and the baby has been fussing since midnight. New place, new sounds, new smells. It's no wonder she's unsettled. Sweetheart, Emily whispers, her voice raspy from hours of soft singing and soothing words. Everything's okay, I'm right here. Paige whimpers, her little face scrunched in discontent. Nothing seems to work. Not the rocking chair, not the soft lullabies, not the gentle backpats that usually soothe her to sleep. The move has disrupted everything familiar, and Emily feels a stab of guilt was bringing her to this enormous strange house the right choice. She runs through the checklist again. Dry diaper, recently fed, not too hot or cold, just overtired and overwhelmed. Probably we'll get through this, Emily murmurs, pressing a kiss to Penny's forehead. First night in a new place is always the hardest. A soft knock at the door makes her turn. Kyle stands in the doorway. Hair rumpled in the dim glow of the night light, the defined muscles of his chest and shoulders are impossible to ignore. Emily quickly averts her eyes. I heard her crying, he says. Voice rough with sleep. Is something wrong? Emily shifts Paige higher on her shoulder. Just having trouble settling. I'm sorry if we woke you. Kyle steps into the room, concern evident on his usually stoic face. You didn't. I was listening. Has she been like this all night? About 3 hours now, Emily admits. I think it's the new environment, too many unfamiliar scents. To her surprise, understanding flashes across Kyle's face. Pack cubs often have trouble sleeping in new places. Their senses are overwhelmed. Is there something that helps? Emily asks. Too exhausted to maintain her usual weariness. Around him, Kyle hesitates. Then approaches. May I? He extends his arms. Emily carefully transfers the fussing baby, watching as Kyle awkwardly adjusts his hold. His large hands nearly engulf Penny's tiny form, but he's gentler than Emily expected. Without warning, he sits in the rocking chair and shifts Paige against his bare chest. The baby stills almost immediately, her tiny hand splaying against his skin contact. Kyle explains, noticing Emily's surprise. It helps them sense parental pheromones more directly. Emily sinks onto the ottoman, relief and curiosity mingling as she watches Penny's eyes grow heavy against her father's chest. I didn't know that. They sit in silence for several minutes, the only sound Paige's gradually slowing breaths. Kyle rocks gently, his expression softening as he watches his daughter drift toward sleep. I expected you to be angrier, Emily finally says, her voice barely above a whisper. About Lucy giving her to me. Kyle's rocking slows. I am. His jaw tightens, but his hold on Penny remains gentle. But anger won't help her sleep. No, it won't, Emily agrees. A tentative smile forming for the first time. She sees beyond his alpha exterior to the father beneath, a man learning to put his child's needs above his own feelings. I never wanted to take her from you, she adds, needing him to understand. I just wanted to honor my promise to Lucy. Kyle meets her eyes, his gaze lingering longer than necessary. In the dim light, his bare chest rises and falls with each breath, the defined muscles casting subtle shadows. Emily finds herself suddenly aware of their solitude, the intimate quiet of the night-darkened nursery. I don't know why Lucy did what she did, he says, voice dropping to a lower register that sends an unexpected shiver down Emily's spine. But I'm grateful she chose you. Something in the way he says it, the weight behind his words, the intensity in his eyes, the unexpected intimacy of the moment brings heat rushing to Emily's cheeks, and with it, immediate embarrassment. Her divorce is not even finalized, and this man, Lucy's widower, is just being polite. Thank you for letting me stay, she manages to say, clearing her throat. Kyle's eyes drop briefly to her parted lips before returning to meet her gaze. We both want what's best for her. That's enough common ground for now. A truce, Emily realizes. Not friendship, certainly not forgiveness for what happened with Lucy, but a starting point built on their shared concern for Penny. As if sensing her thoughts, Kyle adds quietly, she needs both of us. Something warm and unfamiliar unfurls in Emily's chest at those words, an echo of the strange pull she felt when they first touched. She watches as Kyle rises carefully, Penny secure against him, and gently places her in the crib. She and Kyle stand side by side, watching the baby sleep peacefully. At last, the subtle pine and earth scent of him fills her senses. The heat radiating from his skin seems to call to her, drawing her closer without her conscious permission. When their arms accidentally brush, a jolt of electricity races through her, so powerful she gasps softly. What was that? She whispers. Unable to stop herself, Kyle inhales sharply, at the same moment his pupils dilating slightly as his gaze snaps to hers. He takes a deliberate step back, creating distance between them. It's late, he says, voice rough. The move has been stressful for everyone. For one breathless moment, he doesn't move away. His eyes lock with hers, something raw and conflicted in their depths. His free hand rises as if to touch her face, hovers in the space between them. I can't, he whispers so quietly she almost doesn't hear it before Emily can ask what he means. He pulls away, the sudden absence of contact leaving her strangely bereft. He crosses to the door in 3 long strides. Kyle, wait. He pauses at the threshold, his back to her shoulders, rigid with tension. This Whatever you're feeling, it's not what you think. It can't happen, but if she wakes again, come get me, he says. Voice carefully controlled. You don't have to handle this alone anymore. With that, he's gone, leaving Emily staring at the empty doorway, her hand still tingling from where it touched his skin. Something significant just happened, something Kyle clearly recognized, and retreated from alone in the quiet nursery. Emily wraps her arms around herself. The pull she feels toward Kyle isn't like anything she's ever experienced, not a simple attraction, but something almost primal, something that calls to her on a level she doesn't understand. But for tonight, at least, Penny sleeps peacefully, and for now, that has to be enough. Chapter 6. 1 month later, Emily winces at the sound of Penny's teething ring hitting the marble floor for the 5th time. The baby giggles, delighted with her new game of drop and watch. Emily, pick it up. You're developing quite the sense of humor, Emily says, retrieving the toy and wiping it clean before returning it to Paige's outstretched hands. From his position at the breakfast table, Kyle glances up from his newspaper, his eyes following Paige's movements with quiet intensity. When their eyes meet across the room, that now familiar warmth spreads through Emily's chest, a sensation that hasn't diminished with time but grown stronger. She looks away, first focusing intently on wiping Penny's chin, aware of the slight quickening of her pulse. The house phone rings and Mary answers in the kitchen before appearing in the doorway. It's for you, Miss Emily, your husband, ex-husband. Emily corrects, gently settling Penny into her high chair. I'll take it. In the study, Kyle's jaw tightens, his scent shifting subtly with an emotion Emily can't quite identify. Possessiveness, irritation, whatever it is, the intensity of it makes her skin prickle. As she passes his chair in the privacy of the oak-paneled study, Emily steels herself. Henry, what is it this time? You moved in with them? His voice crackles with disbelief. You're working as a nanny for some alpha who actually wants his defective child. Do you realize how this makes me look? Emily sighs, too tired for his theatrics. The divorce papers have been filed. My choices are no longer your concern. They are when you're still technically my wife. Henry's voice rises. The pack is talking. Emily, they're saying I wasn't man enough to keep you, that you ran straight to a stronger wolf. His words bring unbidden images to her mind. Kyle's strong hands cradling Paige, the play of muscles across his shoulders when he reaches for something on a high shelf. The way his presence fills a room, she pushes the thoughts away, disturbed by their persistence. Do you know how humiliating this is? Henry insists. After I took you in, despite your condition, the familiar barb stings less than it used to. We'll be divorced soon enough, Henry, then you can tell whatever story makes you feel better. She hangs up, catching her reflection in the window glass. Something's changed in her face, a subtle glow to her skin, a brightness that makes her pause. Is it just her new confidence or something more? A few weeks later, Emily cheers as Penny pulls herself up on the coffee table, wobbling proudly on unsteady legs. You're going to be walking before we know it, she exclaims. Kyle enters silently, Emily sensing his presence. Before she sees him, she's advancing quickly. He comments she is. Emily agrees, trying to ignore how his voice sends ripples of awareness down her spine. Your father's watching. Penny, show him how strong you are. As if understanding, Penny bounces on her legs, beaming a toothless grin at Kyle. Something in his expression softens. Almost imperceptibly, he approaches, his tall frame casting a shadow over them. The space between them seems charged, heavy with unspoken tension. Emily has learned to live with this constant awareness of him, the way her body responds to his proximity, like an instrument being tuned to a specific frequency. She supposes it's because Kyle is an alpha. He sets the box on the table, careful to maintain distance between them. His movements have become deliberate around her, as if he, too, is conscious of some invisible force drawing them together. These arrive from storage, Lucy's photo albums, thought for Penny when she's older. Emily's surprise must show on her face, because Kyle adds somewhat defensively, she should know her mother. Their hands touch briefly as she takes the box, and for a moment, neither moves. Kyle's pupils dilating slightly before he steps back, clearing his throat. Thank you, Emily says softly. It's very thoughtful. He nods once, then leaves his retreat, becoming a familiar pattern. Closeness, followed by swift withdrawal, as if fighting some inner battle. Later, after Kyle has left for a pack meeting, Emily flips through the album's photos of a younger Lucy, smile up at her class pictures, family gatherings. The Lucy she knew, confident, level-headed, Practical. She pauses at a photo taken at Lucy's birthday party 5 years ago, the last time they'd seen each other before the day at the estate. Lucy stands radiant, in a silver dress, arm linked with Emily's. Henry scowling slightly in the background. It had taken considerable persuasion to make him attend, since they'd already missed Lucy's mating ceremony due to his urgent business. She was so happy. Then Emily murmurs to Penny, who drools contentedly on a teething biscuit, not at all someone who would throw herself recklessly into danger. As she tucks the album away, the contradiction gnaws at her. The Lucy she knew wouldn't make irrational decisions, wouldn't give away her child without an ironclad reason, but that reason couldn't be what Lucy claimed. Kyle's rejection of a wolfless child. He may be awkward with Penny, but his devotion is obvious in 100 small ways. And as for his attitude toward wolfless shifters, when the Pax 3 had made a dismissive comment about Emily's unfortunate condition last week, Kyle's response had been immediate and cutting. Ms. Emily has shown more loyalty and commitment to this Pax future than you have, Carter, he'd said coldly. I suggest you remember that before opening your mouth. Again, the memory of his defense warms her. Still, no one has ever stood up for her like that. Not her parents, not Henry, no one. That night, she dreamed of Kyle waking tangled in her sheets, her skin flushed and heart racing. Chapter 7. 3 months later, Mama Ma Page babbles, reaching for Emily as she stirs oatmeal at the kitchen counter. The spoon clatters against the bowl. Emily freezes, glancing toward Kyle, who sits at the table reviewing territory reports. The air between them thickens with unspoken tension. That's just babbling, Emily says quickly. All babies make those sounds. Kyle sets his pen down carefully. But she's reaching for you. I'm the one who feeds her most often, Emily explains, heart racing. It's natural. She associates me with being her mother. Kyle's voice is quiet, but not angry as she'd expected. Instead, there's a strange resignation in his tone. Emily abandons the oatmeal to kneel before Penny's high chair. Your mama was beautiful and brave. She tells the baby her name was Lucy, and she loved you very much. When she rises, Kyle is watching her with an intensity that steals her breath. His focus has shifted from Penny to her, his gaze lingering on her face with unmistakable hunger. For one suspended moment, the kitchen seems to shrink around them, the distance between their bodies charged with electricity. Then Penny squeals, breaking the spell. Kyle stands abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. I'll be in my study, he mutters, leaving the room with hurried steps. Later, after Penny has been put down for her nap, Emily finds herself drawn to Kyle's study. As if pulled by an invisible thread, she hovers in the doorway, watching him stare out the window at the forest beyond. I'm sorry about this morning, she says. I don't want to confuse her about who her mother is. Heath turns, his expression carefully controlled, though his scent betrays a complex mix of emotions. He's close enough that she can see the different shades of gray in his eyes, the slight stubble on his jaw. Do you have any idea? Emily hesitates, measuring her words as she walks up to him. Kyle, why do you think she might have wanted to give Penny to me? The direct question catches Kyle off guard. No, he says, looking away, but the tension in his shoulders tells Emily he's not being completely honest. Kyle, it doesn't make sense. Lucy wasn't irrational. She wouldn't have given Penny to me without a compelling reason. But everything she told me about you wanting a child with a wolf spirit, it clearly isn't true. Kyle's face hardens, closing off. No, it isn't. Then why? I don't know. He cuts her off, turning back to the window. But when Emily moves to leave, his hand catches her wrist, the touch sending shock waves up her arm. Our bond was complicated. Toward the end, they stand frozen, connected by his grip on her wrist, his thumb unconsciously stroking the pulse point there. Emily can hear his breathing slightly faster than normal, matching her own quickened pace. Finally, Kyle releases her, stepping back as if burned. I will not speak of this again. The dismissal is clear, but his eyes tell a different story, one of conflict and restraint. The heavy silence that follows makes it clear the conversation is over, but Emily can't shake the feeling that Kyle is withholding something crucial, something that might explain Lucy's desperate final choice that night. As she rocks Penny to sleep, questions tumble through Emily's mind. What could drive mated wolves apart against the powerful bond that should keep them connected? And most troublingly, if Lucy lied about Kyle's rejection of a wolfless child, what was the real reason she wanted to Keep Penny away from her father. Chapter 8. The full moon casts long shadows across Emily's bedroom floor. Sleep evades her as it has most nights since she moved into Kyle's home, even with rooms between them. His presence lingers heavy and inescapable, but tonight feels different. Urgent, she slips from bed. Wrapping a robe around her shoulders, the house is quiet save for the creak of settling timber. She drifts to the nursery, checking on Penny out of habit. Though the baby has slept through the night for weeks, Penny lies peacefully, a tiny fist curled near her cheek. The sight soothes Emily. Grounding her on the dresser sits the photo album Kyle gave her, its pages marked with sticky notes. For when Penny is older, your mother loved you so much, Emily whispers, brushing a finger along the album's spine. I wish I knew why she did what she did. The album shifts just slightly. Its weight uneven. Curious, Emily lifts it and finds a leather-bound journal tucked into a hollow behind the last page. Her pulse quickens. She recognizes it, the same journal she'd glimpsed under Lucy's pillow months ago. Emily hesitates, then gently she draws it out and settles on the window seat. Bathed in moonlight, the first page is a routine pack: business, territory, notes, household details. But as she reaches entries from 5 years ago, the tone changes. May 12th. My birthday. Kyle wasn't even supposed to attend my birthday celebration. He had negotiations with the Eastern PX, but he surprised me, arriving just as the party reached its peak. I was so happy to see him for those first few minutes. Everything was perfect. Then he froze. I've never seen anything like it. His entire body went rigid, his eyes locked on someone across the room. Through our bond, I felt it, a violent seismic shift, as if the earth had tilted on its axis. I knew instantly what was happening. Kyle, with whom I share a bond of convenience, had just found his fated mate. He excused himself moments later, locked himself in the study for nearly an hour. When he emerged, he was pale, shaking. He avoided her completely for the rest of the night, but I could feel everything through our bond: the shock, the recognition, the desperate primal pull toward her, and she had no idea, didn't even notice him. How could she not feel what nearly brought an alpha to his knees? Kyle hasn't said a word about it. Maybe he never will, but I know God's help me. I know, Emily gasped softly, a hand flying to her mouth. Fated mate. The term was almost mythical among wolves, a connection so rare and powerful it transcended ordinary bonds. She'd heard stories. Of course, every shifter grew up with legends of wolves finding their one true match, their destined partner. To feel your mate's soul reaching for another, Emily can hardly imagine such torment. She turns the page, drawn deeper into the tragedy unfolding in the faded ink. May 13th. He barely slept. I felt him pacing all night, his thoughts chaotic, his wolf howling inside him. When I confronted him this morning, he finally broke. I can't explain it, he said. I've never felt anything like it. It was like being struck by lightning. I asked if he wanted to be released from our bond. He looked horrified at the suggestion. Never. He swore what I felt was instinct, animal, nothing more. I made vows to you, Lucy. I keep my vows. He begged me not to tell her, said he would master these feelings, bury them so deep they'd never surface again. But the truth sits between us now like a third presence in our marriage. How do we move forward with this between us? Emily's fingers trace the words, feeling Lucy's desperation seeping through them. August 30th. It's been 3 months, and nothing has improved. If anything, it's worse. Kyle tries. God's how he tries, but I can feel him pulling away, not physically but emotionally. Spiritually, he's becoming a stranger. The worst moments are when her name comes up in conversation. Every muscle in his body tenses. He asks questions that seem casual, but I feel his desperation through our bond. He's never met her properly, never even spoken to her yet. She occupies his thoughts more than the mate who shares his bed. A strange tightness forms in Emily's chest. The thought of Kyle belonging to someone else, even by fate's design, brings an unexpected pang of not jealousy. Surely she has no claim on him, yet the feeling persists. Sharp and insistent. December 18th. We're sleeping in separate rooms now. It's better this way. I can't bear to feel him dreaming of her, even unconsciously. He doesn't complain. Maybe he's relieved. I suggested ending our bond again today. He refused more vehemently than before, said severing a bond could kill me, said he would never risk my life, never abandon his responsibilities, said he loved me still. Maybe he does, but his love is changed, weathered into something that resembles duty more Then passion she haunts us both now, the woman who holds my mate's soul in her unwitting grasp. Emily sighs. What kind of woman could hold such power over an alpha, and where is she now? The thought of Kyle eventually finding her, claiming her, brings that strange ache back to Emily's chest. The entries continue charting Lucy's spiral through grief, anger, and finally desperate hope. February 6th. I'm pregnant. The healer confirmed it today. Kyle's face when I told him I've never seen such raw hope. Perhaps this is our salvation, a child to bind us, to remind us of what matters beyond primal pulls and mystical bonds. December. Penny is 3 months old today, perfect in every way except the one that matters to our kind. I've known since she was born, though I've hidden it from Kyle. She has no wolf spirit. I watch Kyle with her, so gentle, so careful, but the pack will care. They'll whisper as they've done about others without wolves. Last night, I dreamed they were together, Kyle, Penny, and her, a family. In my dream, they were happy. Penny was laughing, reaching for them both, and the strangest thing happened. I felt peace, real peace. For the first time in years, the final entries grow increasingly erratic. Desperate, Emily's breath catches. She turns to the final entry, dated just 2 days before Lucy's death. March. I dreamed of them again last night, the 3 of them together, a true family bonded by love and fate. In my dream, Penny called her Mama, and it felt right, as if this was always how things were supposed to be. It's decided then. I've updated my will. If anything happens to me, Emily gets temporary guardianship of Penny. I know Kyle will fight it, his pride, his duty to his bloodline, but Emily is stronger than anyone knows. Shall stand her ground when Kyle comes for Penny. He'll have to face Emily, and maybe then finally she'll feel the bond. To her wolfless nature may have dulled her senses at my birthday, but with time, with proximity, I believe she'll feel it, the connection that has haunted my marriage for 5 years. And if I'm right, if they find each other, if they claim what fate intended all along, then Penny will have both her father and a mother who understands her perfectly. Kyle will have his fated mate, the one his soul has been crying out for, and Emily, dear sweet Emily, who's settled for that pompous beta who treats her like a consolation prize, she'll finally have the love and respect she deserves. The journal slips from Emily's numb fingers, landing with a soft thud on the window seat. Her mind reels, unable to process the revelation. She's Kyle's fated mate, the woman whose very existence tore apart his marriage, to Lucy, the one whose unwitting presence caused such pain. Memories flood back. Lucy's birthday 5 years ago. She remembers arriving late, flustered after arguing with Henry about attending at all. She recalls Lucy embracing her, whispering, "I'm so glad you came," but she has no memory of Kyle. But these past months in his home, the pull she's felt toward him from the moment they met, the electric current that passes between them with every accidental touch, the dreams that leave her breathless and aching. Is this what a fated bond feels like? Certainty, this inevitability, this constant awareness. No, she whispers, pressing her hands to her burning cheeks. It can't be. If Lucy was right, if she is Kyle's fated mate, then Kyle has known since the moment he saw her standing in her apartment door, just as he fought it with Lucy. The sound of the door opening makes her gasp, head snapping up to meet Kyle's gaze, who's standing frozen in the doorway. Chapter 9. It's me, Emily says, barely above a whisper. I'm your fated mate. The words hang in the air, fragile, devastating. Kyle's expression twists, shock, longing, then grief. His jaw tightens as if holding himself together. You were never supposed to know, he murmurs, voice rough. Emily rises from the window seat, clutching Lucy's journal to her chest like a shield. You knew from the moment I saw you at Lucy's birthday, he replies, still not moving from the doorway. 5 years ago, and you never told me, never came looking. The hurt in her voice surprises her. Kyle's hands clench. I was mated to Lucy. I made vows and you kept them, she says gently, even when it tore you apart. Something flicks in his eyes, raw hunger restrained for a heartbeat. Emily thinks he'll cross the room instead. He steps back. It doesn't matter now. What's done is done. Doesn't matter, Emily repeats. Kyle, this explains everything. The pull between us, how Penny lights up around both of us, even why Lucy don't. His voice cuts sharp. Don't use her name to justify this. I wasn't. You think this is some beautiful fate, that Lucy died so we could be together. She's dead, Emily, because of me, because of this curse. That's not what her journal says, Emily counters. Stepping closer, she wanted. I know what she wanted. Kyle roars, alpha power crackling in the air. Penny stirs in her crib. With a soft whimper, Emily rushes to her, soothing her gently. When she looks up, Kyle's rage has faded to something worse. Resignation. You and Penny should leave in the morning, he says flatly. Go back to your apartment. You're sending us away because I'm your maid. It's better this way for everyone. How? Emily snaps. How is tearing Penny from her father better? Denying what we are because I destroy everything I touch, he explodes. I failed Lucy. I can't do this again. I won't fail you or her. You won't, Emily says, tears streaming. Penny needs you and I don't, he says, voice cracking. I love you, she says. Anyway, before I understood why being near you felt like home. Kyle closes his eyes, pain written across his face. I won't let you push us away because you're afraid. Emily says this isn't fear, it is. She cuts in. I was married to a man who made me feel broken, like I didn't deserve love, and I believed him because I was scared. She steps closer, but I'm not scared anymore, not with him, and not with you. Kyle shakes his head. This isn't the same. Penny's sudden cry slices through the tension. Emily moves, but Kyle is faster, scooping the baby into his arms with effortless tenderness. Duh, Penny says, patting his cheek. Kyle flinches like he's been struck. Do you think she'd miss me, he says hoarsely. If I were to give her up, to give you, of course, she'd miss you, Emily snaps. What are you talking about? Kyle, give her up. You're her father. She takes a step toward him, but Kyle retreats, maintaining the distance between them. Emily, don't. He warns. Your daughter calls for you. You cannot send her away. Emily replies. Kyle's jaw tightens. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. Emily interrupts. I've read Lucy's journal. I know how you tried to honor your vows to her despite the fated bond pulling you toward me. Then you know why this can't happen, Kyle says, gesturing between them. Why I don't deserve. It's not about what you deserve, Emily cuts in, voice rising with emotion. It's about what your daughter needs, and she needs her father and a mother, the one Lucy chose for her. She was dying, Kyle argues, not thinking clearly. She was thinking of Penny, not bonds, not herself. Her daughter. Paige squirms. Duh, she says again. Kyle's hand trembles as it rests on her tiny back. I failed Lucy. I'll fail you. You didn't fail her, Emily says. You loved her the best you could with a heart that was never fully yours to give. I made her feel less than she was. He pulls Penny closer. Her small hand pats his face again, like she couldn't measure up, but not by choice. Emily says no one's to blame. I still hurt her, yes, but did you read her final entries? She gave her daughter to me because she trusted I'd love her like my own, because she believed we'd find each other, all three of us. I want to believe that, Kyle whispers, but how could seeing me with someone else bring her peace? Because she loved you, Emily says. Kyle holds Penny tighter. I'm not telling you to forget her, Emily says, placing her hand on his arm, but to raise the daughter she entrusted to you by giving us the family she wanted for Penny. Penny reaches toward Emily. Kyle shifts her gently and the baby stretches her arms toward both of them. Mama, Penny says clearly. Tears spring to Emily's eyes. She meets Kyle's gaze. His expression softens, something protective, fierce, and full of awe sparking in his eyes. If we do this, there's no going back, he murmurs. The bond, it'll be permanent. Kyle lifts a hand to Emily's cheek, trailing gently to the nape of her neck. Good, Emily says, because I'm not leaving. Not again. He leans in, pressing his forehead to hers. I fought this for 5 years. You don't have to fight anymore, she whispers, cupping his jaw. When their lips meet, it feels like something finally falling into place. The kiss deepens, tender at first, then urgent, the bond flaring between them like fire when they pull apart. Breathless, Paige giggles, paddling both their faces with delight. Their family complete. Epilogue. 6 months later, the grand ballroom of the Ironwood estate glows with the soft light of crystal chandeliers. Pack members in formal attire line the marble hall, their attention fixed on the ornate dais, where Kyle stands in an impeccable black suit, his presence commanding even in silence. Tonight, we gather not just for celebration. His powerful voice resonates throughout the elegant space, but to formally recognize our Luna. Emily steps forward, Penny balanced on her hip. The toddler wears a tiny silver dress, matching her mother's elegant gown. Collective murmur of approval ripples through the assembled guests. My fated mate, Kyle continues, taking Emily's hand. Mother to my daughter, strength of our pack, the traditional claiming Ceremony passes in a blur of ancient words and modern promises when Kyle places the delicate silver circlet on her head, symbol of her status. As Luna, Emily feels a surge of emotion, so powerful it steals her breath, from wolfless outcast to Luna of the most powerful pack in the region, from barren and worthless to mother, and mate. The journey still feels dreamlike at times afterward. During the reception, Emily notices a familiar figure at the edge of the gathering. Henry stands stiffly among a delegation from neighboring packs, his eyes fixed on her. With undisguised shock, Kyle follows her gaze, his arm tightening possessively around her waist. "Shall I have him removed?" he murmurs against her ear. Emily smiles, leaning into her mate's embrace. "No need," she replies. "Let him see what he threw away." As if sensing the attention, Henry approaches, offering a formal bow. "Luna Caldwell," he says stiffly, "congratulations on your claiming." "Thank you," Emily replies serenely, watching him struggle to reconcile the confident woman before him with the wolfless wife he discarded. Penny chooses that moment to squirm in Kyle's arms, reaching for Emily. "Mama," she demands. Emily takes her daughter, feeling the weight of Henry's stare as he witnesses what he once declared impossible. Emily as mother, as Luna, as complete. Quite a turn of events Henry manages. As he retreats, Emily exchanges a look with Kyle that speaks volumes of triumph, of belonging, of a future neither could have imagined before. Fate and courage brought them together. She may not have a wolf, but Emily has something far more precious, a family built on choice as much as destiny, a place where she truly belongs. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story.